worried about it, then they won't find anything. But so says the lady who says this is about the rule of law. She had the secret server. She said she lied about having only one cell phone. She had multiple. Then she also shared classified information.
Right. The question is, when this informant comes forward, if he doesn't come forward, if there is a tape, audio tape, as was indicated last night by Peter Schweitzer to Laura Ingraham, if there is an audio tape or videotape of some handoff, that would blow the lid off all this. I've heard
there's a videotape, and it shows a monetary transaction.
Yeah, and we do have also another source that says that person, that informant, is going to Capitol Hill this week.
Will we see that tape?
I don't know. I know the informant's apparently going to talk to somebody Brian talked to about an hour ago,
right.
Congressman Mark Meadows, who says Hillary Clinton, she can say it's an abuse of power, but she's not above the law.
Really, we ought to take Hillary Clinton's own words. She said it's all about the rule of law, and indeed it is. So a special prosecutor would make sure they don't have a conflict of interest, have independent counsel, and make sure we get some answers, because some of the evidence would suggest that the FBI was actually involved in this dossier. And so I think the American people deserve answers. Lady Justice has a blindfold. Hillary Clinton shouldn't be above the law. We need to get to the bottom of it.
Bring in Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Fox News contributor, former deputy assistant to the President of the United States. He's also the author of a book, Defeating Jihad, seen right there. Dr. Gorka, Hillary Clinton said yesterday that if the Department of Justice comes after me, that is an abuse of power if they were going to appoint a special counsel. What say you about that?
It's only an abuse of power if she thinks that having the last name Clinton means that she's above the law. She isn't. We have a clear case here of pay for play. Not only do we know the FBI was investigating the Russian corruption in America, bribing people involved with the deal for uranium, we know that she was the chairman of the committee that had to approve that sale, and at the same time that she had to approve the sale of 20% of our uranium to Russia, Steve, to Russia, her foundation received $145 million, and her husband received $500,000 for one speech that he gave from the same people that were buying the uranium.
Well, Dr. Gorka, we just had on the confidential informant for the FBI's attorney, and she said that he was telling his FBI handlers who he was bribing and stuff like that, and the FBI told him that the director of the FBI knew about it, and so did the President of the United States before this deal went through.
Not only that, Steve, the then Attorney General, Obama's Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, threatened, we have the email, threatened that FBI informant that if you don't shut up, if you don't keep quiet about everything you know, we will put you in prison. She threatened him. That's how out of control the last administration and the Clinton crime cartel was, and now we need to have it investigated to the absolute ends of this trail.
Dr. Gorka, one of the co-founders of Fusion GPS, his name is Glenn Simpson. He had a 7-hour closed-door session before the House Intel Committee, and he told them he never verified what was in that dirty dossier before he peddled it to reporters. Your thoughts?
Yeah, this is the story that just keeps on giving. So we've got this massive national security scandal, probably the biggest one since the end of the Cold War. 20% of our uranium sold to the Russians with Clinton's acquiescence. And now we've got this dodgy dossier. We now know that this dossier was built upon Russian propaganda, fake sources. It was used to besmirch the Trump campaign. And here's the big thing, Ainsley, that dossier was also paid for by the FBI. The Clinton campaign, the DNC, paid $12 million for it. And then Robert Mueller briefs it to President Trump, leaks that briefing to his buddies in the media.
You mean James Comey?
Sorry, James Comey. Briefs that to the president, leaks the briefing, so what happens? We get a special counsel, his buddy, Robert Mueller, to investigate the president for collusion. This is like something out of a Tom Clancy novel, but it isn't. It's real life, and it's corruption.
We got to see this dossier and where it's going. There's a book coming out. Chris Steele says he says it'll show that 70 to 90% of what's in the dossier is true. He said he was shocked by what is in it. But Mike Conaway said yesterday in the Glenn Simpson closed-door testimony that there were things that Simpson refused to answer because because it was based on confidentiality agreement with his client, and because it was a voluntary basis, we could not push the issue. So that's where it stands right now. To get to the bottom of the dossier, we're still waiting, I guess, for Robert Mueller, because he's got the power to get the answers.
And there's a really big question additionally, Brian. How many other propaganda materials were salted across the left-wing media by Fusion GPS? This isn't the only case. We know they had relationships with lots of journalists. How much fake news out there attacking the president came from Fusion GPS is another question.
And apparently, Mr. Simpson also revealed to the congressional investigators that he was unhappy with the fact that the FBI did what they did with Hillary's email server, and that's why he was pushing back. Meanwhile, yesterday, the President of the United States took to the airwaves to talk about the big five-nation Asian swing. What's your headline from his trip?
The headline is absolute success. I know the guys that planned the trip. The Asia team at the National Security Council is one of the best teams we have at the White House. They had one very simple mission: to reassure our friends, to reassure people like Japan, to reassure our allies and our partners, and to make sure that China understands American leadership is back. No more apology tours, no more saying we're the problem, America's the problem. Donald J. Trump is the new sheriff, and we will reinvigorate our relationships, and we're not going to take the kind of behavior we've seen with China now under this administration.
So, Dr. Gorka, I'm going to put you in an awkward spot, but I know you're going to give me an honest opinion. Do you think the administration would be better if Attorney General Sessions became Senator Sessions again, and they were able to plug somebody else into the Attorney General position?
That's a great question, Brian. Look, Jeff Sessions is an honorable man. He seems to be struggling with getting a grip on this incredibly politicized department that the Obamas turned into this weapon, the political weapon. DOJ became a partisan weapon. But with regards to Alabama, you know what? I want to get to the bottom of this story. I want to find out if Judge Moore did what he did, because in this country, we have a presumption of innocence. If these accusations are true, these women deserve justice. But in this country, we have to see the evidence, and this individual must actually be given the presumption of innocence. So right now, I don't want to make decisions or encourage people to make decisions that remove that presumption of innocence.
I see,
especially
I don't know. There's some credible stories of him calling high schools, pulling high school kids out of trigonometry class. I'm starting to see an avalanche.
Look, Brian, after the last 10 months, after the smears I've gone through, they attacked my teenage son in the left-wing media. They attacked my dead mother's reputation. After what they've done to the president, to his 10-year-old son, we're living in this crazy world of smear factories. Let's get to the bottom of it.
We only got till December 12th.
All right. Right, we do.
All right.
Thanks, Dr. Gorka.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
All right.